Somebody said they didn't have a crystal ball. Well, I've got one, but it's broke. Okay, I've dropped it and broke it, so I don't know. It hadn't got it out of the repair shop yet.
I just want to thank everyone for coming out, for joining us here. This is a topic I've never had the response and the number of RSVPs without really entering advertising. I sent out one email, put one social blast, and we got like 100 RSVPs, and since then even more than that. So I want to get to the meat of this content, which is coronavirus and real estate, how to survive and how to thrive. There's some common. There's something very common with all the guests that I asked to come on, and we're going to get into what that thing is. But first, let's actually the way I kind of want to have this format is fairly open format. I mean, any one of the guests are absolutely welcome to comment and answer any of the questions and from your experience. But let's go ahead and get started with some introductions. So we have 4 guests, and these are in no particular order. But just talk a little bit about your experience, your background, and your experience in real estate. Let's kick it off with Mr. Eddie Gant.
Oh no!
Oh Lord!
What I said.
Yeah, really. I've been around in this business since '99, June of '99. Ex-corporate guy, civil engineer. Did a lot of power plant construction. Got off flipping houses. I guess I've somewhere around 1,600 houses flipped since '99. Johnny Hayes and I started Jed Lending in '04. We've done, I don't know, somewhere around 3,500 loans now. We're extremely active in that. We own over 100 rentals. We loan money. We're hard at it every day. But we've been around now for almost 21 years in this business.
All right. And Eddie's been someone I've always called him my unofficial mentor, just going out to his event for the last 10 years. He's got really the largest event, co-hosted with Mr. Richard Drake and Renter's Warehouse. So always appreciate everything he's done to the community over the years. But since I brought up Richard Drake, let's bring him on next. Richard, introduction.
Can you hear me, Chris?
I can hear you.
Yeah, well, I'm a similar story to Eddie. Been here 20 some odd years. Done about 1,601 flips. Eddie did 1,600. But no, we've done a bunch of flipping, loaning. Now we primarily focus on managing rental property for landlords. So I've been watching the rental payment real closely this month, and so got some good insight there. But been here for a while and done pretty much here, wholesaling, retailing, owner finance. So done it all.
All right. Next up is a mentor of mine. I met him a couple of years ago. We were in a mutual investor mastermind before, and being a big time house flipper myself, and then he's kind of like the king of flipping houses on the West Coast. I related a lot to him, and he was able to really help us get over some challenges we had in our business. And he's got a lot of very unique experience going through shifts. And I would like to introduce Mr. Don Costa with Flip Talk.
Yeah, so thanks, Chris. I've been doing this since 2003. So obviously people here have been doing a little bit longer than I have. Went through the 2008 crash, and I didn't fare as well as some people did because I had the mindset that everything I touched turned to gold and that I couldn't be impacted. And so I made a lot of poor decisions in 2008 and learned a lot of lessons from that. Started out doing door knocking with pre-foreclosure, subject to transactions, always been a rehabber by nature. Got really back serious in the business again in 2012, rehabbing properties. We do about 140 rehabs a year on average. We do another 55 to 60 wholesales a year on average. So we're roughly 200 deals a year. Just love real estate, love the game, and anxious to add value to the call.
Thank you, Don. And last but certainly not least, is a guy I've gotten to know over the past 15 months. He's based in San Antonio. got in real estate. Well, I won't go too much in his background, but as far as how we've got to know each other, whenever I joined EXP Realty, he's been a big leader to me as far as team building and mentorship, running an actual production team, and also building a team. And he's an entrepreneur at heart, which I naturally gravitate to. That's why I'm in a small business owner and in real estate investing. So I'd like to introduce Mr. Pat Hayes.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Chris. Well, welcome, guys. Pat Hayes here, based out of San Antonio, Texas here with EXP Realty. Not a real big real estate investor, but been in the real estate industry here in San Antonio since 2008. I sold farm and ranch for my first 2 years, and then been selling residential real estate for about 7 years. Started my career at a boutique brokerage firm where my first year I sold about $3.2 million in production as a single agent. Wanted to scale my business, and I created the Pat Hayes Group and hired 2 buyers agents. That second year we did about $12.5 million in production, and ended up getting a life-changing phone call about 53 months ago to check out EXP, and took a look at it and was blown away by the business model, and jumped on board in December of 2015 and built a revenue share organization of close to 2,400 agents spanning 45 states, 5 Canadian provinces, and Australia. So having a lot of fun and selling a ton of real estate.
All right. So the one common thing every single one of the guests on the call have is they were all in the business before 2008. And I wanted to make sure that we got a mix of everyone actually on the call is a real estate agent, with the exception of Don Costa, who just happens to own a brokerage. He may not be an agent, but he owns a brokerage. And when you do 200 deals a year, you kind of know a little bit about real estate. So but every single one of the folks on the call went through, was in business prior to the crash in 2008 and went through that and has experience with that. So the first and what we're going through now is a shift, but this is not 2008. This is different. So what I would like to open up with, and anyone can jump up and if you want to take the lead on this question, is how is this like 2008? Anyone in real estate, most people right now, most people in the market probably didn't go through 2008. I didn't. I had experience before that, but I was not in the market beforehand. And I talked to a lot of people that were experienced, but they all got in the market after 2008. So I actually had to dig a little bit to find agents that were in the business prior to that. That actually should be telling. But in any case, this is not 2008. So what would you like to say about how is this different than the last major economic crisis that this country went through?
I have a quick comment that, the first crisis was really focused on the market and a lot on real estate, mortgage-backed securities. This is a worldwide issue that's a whole lot different than just, hey, real estate crashed and it caused the stock market crash and this and that. So it's going to be interesting to see the longer term, the next month or two, mid to longer term, next couple of months, what happens with the stay at home and how much damage it does to the economy.
Chris, your base question is how's it different? To me, it's night and day difference. 08, which I was in the middle of, we survived it. We took flesh wounds, but we didn't take anything, any mortal wounds. Backing up what my buddy Rich just said, this is nationwide, worldwide. It's panic for everybody. 08 was, it was real estate. And I guess maybe you throw the oil and gas in there to a certain extent, but it was real estate. And the subprime market totally collapsed, and it sent everything else like a domino effect spiraling downward. And we didn't actually pop out of it until spring of 2012. And everybody talks about 08, and it was 08, but it was really kind of the end of 08. And the whole thing lasted 09, 10, and 11. And but we were mobile and able to work and drive around and talk and have meetings and go to meetings, drink beer together and talk about it. Now we're all somewhat isolated on our own islands trying to figure out what to do every day. And that's probably the biggest difference is everybody's kind of on their own island. Everybody feels like Tom Hanks, in that movie. And back in 08, it wasn't like that. We were still, out trying to conduct business. It was just inventory levels went sky high, and you were limited to FHA and Fannie Mae loans for buyers that would qualify. You weren't worried about going to a meeting with more than 10 people and, without your mask on.
I agree. Don, you had a unique experience through 2008, and you're also, so we've got Eddie and Richard in Houston, Pat Hayes, San Antonio. So we got three folks from Texas. Texas is a little different as far as our markets, how we're affected in booms and busts, or not booms and busts, but just economic shifts. You're on the West Coast. What is your position on how this is different than 2008?
Well, like it's been alluded to, 2008 was caused by, I think an artificially inflated market, people buying houses they shouldn't have been buying with loans they shouldn't have been getting, or living off of the equity that they're pulling out of their homes. It was really an artificially inflated market that came to a screeching halt. This is more of, a fear and anxiety driven, thing that I think we're going to continue to see. We have the reality of what's going on with the coronavirus, and obviously we're all shelter in place. We're not allowed to spend money, basically, for the most part. Our employees, restaurants are being closed. The economic impact around the world is different. We're able to, I opened a restaurant and nightclub right at the beginning of 2008. That was one of the mistakes I made, was not sticking to my core business. And we were able to at least bleed and limp by for about 4 years before we decided to close. We closed just before the beginning of 2012. So, and we were able to limp by. If I would have opened my restaurant in January of 2020, I would be dead in the water right now. I'd be out of business. I wouldn't have survived. So I think that, that impact, like just the reality that a lot of businesses can't do business right now, even just to scrape by. And so many of them are not set up to succeed past 15 days or 30 days monetarily. A lot of them aren't going to make it to see a stimulus, or at least psychologically aren't going to make it. They're going to end up giving in and throwing up the towel. So for me, I think the fear and anxiety and is going to be the driving force behind this, and that's a little bit harder to conquer personally. And so that gives me a little bit of pause, as I'm going into this particular situation, looking at the differences. My business right now, we're direct to seller buyers, and so we're marketing direct to sellers, and we're having conversations, and sellers aren't wanting to make decisions, at the moment. We're seeing kind of a shift in, buyers kind of pulling out of transactions, hard money lenders not wanting to lend to buyers, wanting to do rehabs, sellers not wanting to make decisions. And, my big question, I don't have a crystal ball, but, how long is that going to last? Even if they told us today that we could begin to operate again, how long is that kind of fear-based kind of herd mentality, for lack of a better word, going to drag this on? And so that's the big difference. I think people in 2008, people wanted to work through it and get back to normal. They were looking for opportunities and options. And right now we're not allowed to do that.
Yeah, which nobody has a crystal ball. And if we could go back to work today, a lot of the damage is done, and how long that's going to take for both the fear to subside, but also the economic engine to start gearing back up. What does that look like? We really don't know. But what we do know is we're not going back to work today. And we don't even know if we'll be going back to work in May, at least on certain parts of the country. So what is both the short-term and long-term impacts based on kind of what we know now? What are some thoughts on short and long-term impacts that's going to have on real estate?
I think short-term, everybody's goal needs to be to break even and pay their bills if you can, and don't dip into savings, to run your operation. That's our goal here. The biggest measurable we've got daily is number of houses on the market active. Primarily, I'm in Houston. I'm in Houston and Austin, but my operation here in Houston is a lot bigger than my Austin operation. I look at the number of actives on MLS every day. When this started, I guess, what was it? I wrote down March 9th. That's the day it started. March 10th is the day they canceled the Houston Rodeo. March 11th is the day the NCAA basketball tournament and all the other spring college sports was canceled. There was exactly 25,044 houses on the market in Houston that day. I haven't looked today. I looked last night. It was 25,786. So we've gone up by over 700 houses in about a 3-week period. That's not a huge jump, but it's trending upward. And I expect that number to continue to trend upward through this because we had a lot of retail buyers in March. We're now into April. I think that's going to dwindle and continue to dwindle. If you think about an investor's exit, he's limited. He sells it or he rents it or that's basically it. And if you can't sell to owner occupant buyers, what I call retail buyers, you just lost a tremendous amount of your exits of your properties. That means you're going to hold them longer. It means more cash out of pocket. So I think short term, we're going to be hurting here a little bit because of exits. You can't get rid of them. If you refi them, Fannie Mae still open for business. Small banks are still open for business. But basically, we've lost all the Wall Street lenders, the non-QM lenders that so many of us were using. Basically, I guess some of you could point out to me, well, this one's still in business today. Well, maybe they are, maybe they're not. But I think basically we've lost that. So you're sitting here with an inventory you can't exit. And I think that's something that every investor out there better be paying extremely close attention to.
Yeah, and also, great job, Eddie and Chris. Just here in San Antonio, here in my market, just within the last 3 weeks, I've lost 3 buyers from losing their jobs, and then 2 sellers. They just don't want to list right now, and so things are getting a little shaky here in San Antonio as well too. So
Yeah, Eddie and I were talking about this the other day, and I think Clint Yates is the one that brought it up that on a Fannie Mae deal, they're checking employment at the closing table. So they're not checking it a week or 2 ahead and just closing. They're rechecking that day because everybody's in such limbo. I think Eddie's right. There's going to be some pretty good pressure on real estate in the near term. What I like about this, I hate to say I like this situation, but what I'm hopeful about is that in 2008, if everybody that was there remembers, we were scrambling, trying to figure out how to survive. Does everybody kind of agree with that? We were just surviving. Now we're saying, all right, we see this coming. We know there's opportunity going to be there. Let's find where the opportunity is going to be there and be ready to deploy cash when it's time. I think it's really good the way we've, how technology's developed where we can have these type of calls and these Facebook broadcasts and talk about the strategies and plan for this. And hopefully by doing this, we're not profiteering, but what we're doing is we're figuring out a way to adapt and survive and prosper in the future post, Corona, I guess you want to call it. I think we really, really are doing a good job as a community here, specifically in Houston, of all getting together and sharing, rising tide lifts all ships, right? If everybody shares their ideas, we can all benefit and hopefully, survive this thing.
Yeah, it's one thing I've liked about that collaborative effort. At least being heavily invested in the Houston market, I've noticed that, and we've kind of been that way for as long as I've been active in the market, which is good, and it produces a lot of competition too. But ultimately, all the information's out there, and we just need to collaborate. And like you said, all ships rise, the better we can get. And of course, sharing the information and just helping each other out. So we talked a lot about the short-term impacts, and Richard, you talked a little bit, about the long-term impacts. So actually, before I go there, what should agents and investors be doing right now to make sure they survive the shift? Because there's no taking advantage of the opportunity that could be coming if you don't survive. You got to survive this, otherwise you're out and you're going to have to find something else to survive on. But if you can survive this, what should you be doing to survive?
And Chris, I'll start off with this. And I tell all my agents, that right now this is not a vacation. There's a lot of agents that I talk to that are literally just taking 2 or 3, 4 weeks off right now to spend time with their family. This is not a vacation for me. This is a time for me to double down and, double down on my prospecting, double down on reaching out to my database, double down on, getting healthy as well and staying healthy. And so, if I could just preach one thing, and I say this all the time, guys, this is not a vacation. This is not vacation time. And I see a lot of agents acting like it's a vacation.
Yeah. And you got to teach your agents, if you're a broker or if you have 1099 employees, every single 1099 person qualifies for the PPP. That's a way they can get over the hump if they really need cash. and they're really short and they're not doing as many deals as they could, they've got to get their application in, and everyone needs to educate themselves on all the stimulus that's available and try to take advantage of as much of that as possible to help your business float through these next few months.
Absolutely.
Yeah, as a business owner, investor, one of the things I want to make sure that, it's also said is we need to get our houses in order. We need to go through, and go through our personal P&Ls and our business P&Ls and get rid of expenses that were luxury expenses. I had a gym membership that's $15 a month that I haven't used in 3 years. It's just been charging me $15 a month and isn't painful enough for me to go and waste the time calling and get rid of. But we need to be going through our lives and our businesses and making sure we're doing that and getting rid of expenses that may have been a nuisance to get rid of in the past or just aren't a necessity, and get rid of some of those luxuries. It's important now more than ever that we shore up our capital positions and our relationships, with capital out there or people we can count on out there, and just get our houses in order right now. That's going to serve us for sure.
It's a great point. It's a great point because there's going to be an opportunity here shortly, I think, to buy some great assets at some great prices.
That's right.
Yeah.
So
Well, Chris,
you go ahead.
Well, just kind of piggybacking what they said. And I've said this even before this crisis. The only way an investor really goes out of business is he loses he's out of cash.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, to me, this is a cash management period. You got to manage your cash and keep your cash and take all the relief you can get. All of your long-term lenders, most of my rent houses are with small banks, and they've not shown too much of an appetite yet for relief. That may change as we get into late April and May, but so far they haven't, and I understand it. But I have a handful of houses, a 6-pack of them or so, that's Fannie Mae's. I've asked for relief on all of those, and we're 100%. So your long-term rentals, you can probably get relief. My personal home, we asked for relief, we got it. So it's all about cash management. You got to come out of this deal still operational and being able to maneuver. So we're in circle the wagons mode here, and I respect what you said about your gym membership is only $15, but I made a comment to my staff today. We can save $100,000, $50 at a time, in this deal, and that's what we're doing.
That's an interesting suggestion. So kind of reiterate what you're saying is, even if you may not need it now, if you've got the relief options, take them.
Advantage of every one of them.
Well, that was a great comment. Shore up your, financial household. Get yourself ready. Shore up your relationships. What a great comment.
Yeah, because let's say it booms in July or whenever. We don't know. Somebody said they didn't have a crystal ball. Well, I've got one, but it's broke. Okay, I've dropped it and broke it, so I don't know. It hadn't got it out of the repair shop yet. But let's say it booms in July. If you stripped yourself of all of your cash and below par on your cash, how are you going to take advantage of the boom? Okay, so it's cash management until it's time to go.
Yeah. One of the things I want to add to that is, again, a lot of us, my mistake in 2008 was I didn't move fast enough. I really thought that I was better than the market. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I was a douchebag, for lack of a better word. And I thought I could beat the market, and I thought that I could be dropped in any city in the United States and make 10 grand overnight. And so I think pride got in my way. So we can't be prideful here. We got to understand that we got to shore our house up, like I said, take advantage of the relief, like was mentioned here. You got to put your oxygen mask on first. That's one thing they tell you do in an airplane. You got to take care of yourself first. Or you don't have anything left to take care of anybody else. So it's just important to make sure you're doing those things, not let pride get in the way. Understand that we don't know how long this is going to last. California has been on stay at home now for over 2 weeks. I think we're going on 3 weeks now. They're starting to shut down our ability to do construction here in the state. For me, my bet is that we're probably going to see, sometime in May or the beginning of the June before, life starts to kind of return to normal. And so it's really important to be, I think, over conservative and protect your downside, hope for the upside, but protect your downside. And that's what we're doing here. We made cuts quick on anything that made sense to cut. And we're just shoring up that downside and preparing for the worst, hoping for the best.
Yeah,
one comment I've heard on that is from other investors. I'm talking about like the Richard Bransons, Elon Musk, and all that. Is they dream big and they'll bet big, but they always hedge their downside. And I think that's a very, very good comment. So this is a big mess. We got problems. We got to hedge our downside, shore up our house, and there's definitely going to be some impact short and long term. But what opportunities are there going to be on the other side of this shift? Because the world's not going to end. And if it does, we got bigger problems than this little podcast and real estate. But short of the world ending, what opportunities are we looking at once we get on the other side of this hump?
There'd be a good wholesale toilet paper business coming pretty soon. Jeez. There's going to be a lot of opportunity. I think there's going to be some blood in the water in commercial real estate. I think there's a lot of office space that I think is not going to be reoccupied. There's too many businesses that have pushed back against working remotely over the years, and now they were forced to do it, and they figured out it's not so bad and not so tough, and my folks are getting their stuff done. They may say, I'm not sure I'm interested in that $20,000 rent payment I was paying. I think I'm just going to keep my folks where they are. And so there's going to be some type of repurposing, something going on in the commercial office space to do with all of that space that's going to be 50 cents on a dollar.
Yeah,
and I agree with that. Go
totally
ahead,
agree
Pat.
with that. In other words, being at eXp Realty, we've got a cloud-based office, and I've got a ton of agents reaching out to me right now that are not with eXp. Obviously wanting to access our eXp world to get some free training. Obviously their brick and mortar offices is shut down; they can't go there. And so this is going to be a great time to actually I think, in my honest, humble opinion, eXp is going to grow. eXp, we own the platform Verbella. And so we actually have other organizations. We've got churches, we've got universities reaching out to us, wanting to buy a platform, wanting to buy an office for their staff to conduct their day-to-day operations. And so, I see a shift that the cloud office isn't so bad anymore. We used to get made fun of all the time. No, we're avatars. The cloud office isn't so bad anymore because we can go conduct our business, conduct our training, and get things done at a much cheaper rate. Just like what you're saying. Those commercial leases,
great point.
They're very expensive. Very expensive. And a cloud-based office is much cheaper. And so that's kind of what the talks that I've been having. With my agents and other organizations have been reaching out to us as well too. So we're in a good place to be over at eXp with our eXp world.
I would agree with that 100%.
Yeah, and Rich, I agree with your statements about. I'm going to just use downtown office space. I think in the next decade the world's changed because of this, and a lot of it's not going to change back. Here's kind of my little analogy on owner occupant sales. In Houston, we sell about 8,000 houses a month, okay, owner occupants. Well, that's 8,000 in April, 8,000 in May, 8,000 in June. Under normal circumstances, approximately 24,000 houses would have sold. I think a high percent of those, it's not going to happen. So let's just say we bust out of this deal in July, and in July and August and September, you're going to have a boom because you got the normal 8,000 that would have been bought and sold, plus a rush of all the ones in April, May, and June that didn't go. So I think it's going to be, for a while, a big
little rush,
a big boom, a big
rush. It won't
be
double though. It won't be double, but it'll be some.
Yeah. You're going to take some portion of this 90 days, and it's going to fast forward into the next 90 days, and then you're going to have what would have been normally been there for that 90 days. So I think it's good times ahead for us if you can hold through this.
Right.
And that's my analogy on it for whatever.
And I think you'll also see some trouble in the higher end residential, and you'll see strength in the lower end. You're going to see people downsizing just to be conservative. You're going to see people who were going to upsize choose not to. I think the lower end, 250 and below, bodes very well for landlords as well. A lot of people that were going to buy a home are now going to have to be a renter. So it's a boom for landlords in the medium and long term.
Yep, I agree.
And that's good for us, property management.
Rich, anytime we've had a disaster, whether it be, 08 economically, 2011 floods here in Houston, the rental market booms as you come out of it.
Yeah.
It's the data shows that.
Almost a guarantee. Back to the commercial thing though, the other thing I think might see a big boom is the shared office spaces. I know EXP uses Regis nationwide because you do want to have a place to go and have a big meeting with a client or show off a nice space. But if you can save having all your employees sitting in a cube all week but still have access to that, I think that may be something that's an opportunity going forward. There could be quite a bit of competition, but there'll be a lot more shared office space demand, I think.
That's a good point. I used to lease at Regis. I had my little 10 by 10 cube. And then I did the math, and it's like, I can actually get a full office for the same price. It's not furnished, but thankfully for me, following what Don was saying, well, really all of you were saying, was over the last 6 to 12 months, Jamie and I, we've been actively looking for ways to run a leaner ship, leaner operations, because ultimately flipping houses, very risky business. Make a lot of money, but it's speculation.
Sure.
And we've been finding ways to be more lean, getting rid of all those expenses that really don't add to the bottom line or the way we thought they would. And right when this mess happened, our office lease came up. And we were going to renew. We were going to get a smaller space, but we were going to renew. And ultimately, we just realized, like, I know a lot of really good investors that operate in multiple markets 100% virtually. So, one, why take the risk in uncertain times? And then two, why don't we just try to figure out what they're doing? and so here we are. I mean, I'm doing this broadcast from my house, and who knows? So we may find an office again later on, hopefully at half the price that we were paying before, if we do.
Well, a lot of people like those shared spaces. You can walk down, sit down, start working. You don't have to deal with a 2-year deal on your security system and a 3-year electricity bill, contract. You just walk in, sit down, start working. People don't like to be locked down for years and years because things change so quickly now. Technology changes, business is changing.
I'm sitting in a 3,000 square foot empty office right now. So, everybody's working from home. I'm one of those old school people who basically like to be able to walk through my office and feel the energy of the office and be able to tap into what was going on. And to be honest with you, I resisted virtual pretty much this entire time. Chris and I know some very similar people in the investment field that run, flipping and wholesale companies virtually. And I've resisted it. And but I'm going to revamp my entire business. I mean, everybody's working from home now. We're doing it successfully, and why not make the change now and just move over to virtual at this point in time? Honestly,
well, Eddie and I have done that for a long time. We've both resisted the change. We'd like having our people there when we put our hands on them and walk down and grab them by the throat if we need to.
Yeah.
And, it's an interesting change, or pat them on the back, right?
Right. But this change, leaning out, and the steps I've taken in the last couple of months, even steps I've taken in going into this, before this, they're making my life easier. And I think a lot of us spend a lot of time making our lives more complicated, trying to become either bigger or, better or whatever. And I think this is a wake up call for us just to understand that we need to just run better businesses and not complicate our lives.
Yeah. Let me give you an example of what saved us some money here lately. And this is embarrassing because you get big and you get profitable and you get sloppy. Mm-hmm. You really do. I killed the jet lending credit card last week because we had too many recurring charges that no one in my office even knew what the heck it was. $40 here, $80 here. And then I killed them. And I don't know how many thousands of dollars that it was that just in the last couple of days was trying to get charged on our jet lending credit card. And I got 2 full-time bookkeepers and they couldn't even tell me what it was. So that's just it's embarrassing, to be honest with you, that you get a little sloppy like that when you get big. And I'm not big. I mean, but I got 15 jet lending employees, another 7 or 8 with other companies. But that's just an example. Maybe somebody's out there, maybe save them $1,000 next month. Look at those credit cards, those recurring, and either deny them or do like we did. We just killed the credit card just because we could, and just to
stop off at the source.
To stop it.
Yeah, and we do a thing. I don't know if anybody else has ever tried this. I read a book somewhere, and they have 4-year-old day at their office. Anybody ever heard of that? You just walk around and go, why do we do that? What is that for? Why do we have that? What is that? What is that? If you look at your books and do the same thing, we do it monthly. We go through every line of the P&L and go, why do we have this? Do we really need to keep this?
Well,
So it's
one of
worth
ours,
doing. It's worth
yeah,
doing.
listen to this one. One of ours was a $750 charge that we actually killed it in December. It was an honest recurring charge that we agreed through December, and then we let them know in via email, all right, we're done with the service. We're done. January they billed us, February they billed us, March they billed us, and it wasn't until I threw this little minor temper tantrum in a staff meeting.
No, not you, Eddie.
Yeah, and then but we got billed $2,325 after we killed it, and no one caught it. And it wasn't if it wasn't for CV19, we would have paid it this month.
Yep.
You know, crazy, huh?
Yeah.
I think it's a common evolution with businesses as we grow. You're always adding expenses. I'll get this little app here, this program here, this service.
Adds up quick.
Yeah, and you always see the new gadget, the new software, and you think it's the greatest thing in the world. You do it, and it's awesome, and then 6 months later, no one's using it. You need to cancel that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Because it's easy, because it's all, low entry, get in cheap, but they charge you every month. And that's the new model.
Let me ask y'all a question. And Don, you're in California, right?
Yes, sir.
And Pat, where are you?
San Antonio, Texas.
San Antonio. Okay. What percent of traffic are on the roads every morning and evening during what would normally be rush hours? What would y'all say the percent of traffic is versus prior to this? I say it's about 20%, which if you correlate that kind of gives you an indication of the economy. What do you guys think?
Yeah, for me, I really don't go out and about that much, honestly. Stay at my home office and work in my EXP World office. But whenever I do go out, the roads have a lot less traffic on it. Yeah, I'd probably say 20 to 30%. I would agree with you.
For me, it's about 5, to be honest with you. I mean, literally, like when, traffic for us in Fresno, California, where I live, isn't really traffic compared to a lot of cities, but still, we have a pretty good amount of cars on the road going to the office every morning. My office is about 10 minutes from my house. And literally, like I came here the other day and it was the creepiest thing, because I was like by myself all the way here. And then I finally turned my last turn and there was cars way off in the distance, like 2 or 3 of them. It's nuts. So, but on average, probably about 5%. Like literally, I hardly see a fraction of the cars I normally see.
That's way worse than Texas.
Yeah, well, we've been on lockdown a little bit longer.
How do we find? Can you tell us how to find Flip Talk? Is it a Facebook page we can just follow there and see all your episodes?
So it's a podcast. You can find it on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, anywhere. I'm all over Facebook. There's a Facebook page, Flip Talk with Don Costa, and you can find me pretty much anywhere.
Is it very California centric, or do we get more generic stuff? Good.
It's national. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Love to check it out.
Yeah, 3 years I've been doing the podcast. So.
Yeah. If you search, you might find me and Jamie on the podcast on an episode.
Yeah. Oh no!
I
don't mean to devalue it.
I think most of you know Rich and I put on what we claim to be the largest monthly held real estate investor meeting in the nation, in the world. It's always the third Wednesday, and
it's in the world now, huh?
Yeah, I guess this month will be on our straight our second straight month of do it via podcast rather than being in public.
Yeah.
So we miss everybody. It sure is fun to come have beers with you, but maybe May. But I'm guessing it's going to be a minimum June before we're back together in person again.
Yeah, that was kind of one of my questions. Yeah, what do you guys think? I mean, you guys think this is going to last until May, June, July? You think it's going to last longer? I mean, what do you guys think? I'm kind of thinking the same way. I'm kind of thinking, May, June-ish. Obviously whenever it gets hotter. But what do you guys think? I'm just curious.
On the news this morning, they were talking about it being kind of a cyclical thing, that it's going to be reoccurring here until they get a vaccine. So that, gives me pause and makes me think it might be longer. Regardless, I always use my wife as an example. My wife and I are two extremes. I'm very I don't worry about anything, and she worries about everything, right? And she's just like, she wants to go to Disneyland 4 times a year, 5 times a year. And she's like, I don't know if I'll ever go to Disneyland again. So, again, it goes back to, even if they said we can go out and play in June, how many people are really going to go out and play in June and feel comfortable, doing that, especially with the fact that they're now saying that this thing could be reoccurring until we get a vaccine. So I think it's you're going to Vegas and putting everything on black or red. I think you're just kind of hedging your bet, and I don't think anybody really knows. But even then, we don't know how society and the herd effect is going to react to it. That's the scary part.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to change the way they think forever. A lot of people are going to have a very short memory and go back to normal, but there's also going to be if there's a vaccine or there's a treatment that's very effective, then the fear will subside very quickly.
Yeah.
All right. So, final thoughts. You want to start it off, Richard?
Oh, goodness. I think I'll just kind of reiterate what I was saying earlier is now's the time for us to think about how can we succeed, get through this. There's a lot of great points being made today about cutting expenses, getting lean, getting your personal financials, your company financials ready, getting some lenders lined up, because when there is a dip, when the market goes down and you can buy rental properties, this is not a time to make a lot of income, so to speak. This is a time to build a lot of wealth. I had some friends that are gamblers, and when '08 happened, they went to the what do you call it, the auction every month in Harris County, and they were buying new construction, lot and block, brand new houses for about 40 cents. And they would go and they'd play poker all month, and they'd spend all their money and buy however many houses. They have about 60 or 70 beautiful 10, 15-year-old houses free and clear now. So that's something to think about, is what's going to happen. How bad is it going to get for home builders? How bad is it going to get for everyone, where this opportunity may come around again? And we just need to be in action mode versus reaction mode. We were in reaction mode in '08. I personally was. I lost a lot of money. I still don't pay taxes. I lost so much money. So now we're being proactive and being ready for this versus being hit by it, being blindsided. So be ready.
Yeah, and I'll go. This is a great time to, just like what you're saying, Rich. This is a great time to truly build wealth as an investor. Take this opportunity and stand out, and also take this opportunity to better yourself and scale up. And as a retail, realtor, I want to become a better marketer. I want to become a better leader, for my team and my organization. So take this time and better yourself, and don't take this as a vacation.
Yeah, and bettering yourself. I'm saving almost 2 hours of commute every day, so I have 2 extra hours to either do something about my fitness, or hit it harder, or listen to my wife breathe too loud. She breathes too loud.
Listen to this. Better yourself. I'm on Zoom. 2 weeks ago, I couldn't spell it.
I love it.
Hey, I don't know if there's any way to get better as you, EG. There's no way to improve on perfection.
Hey, look at that background. I love that background too, man. Look at you.
So I just back up what these guys say. You just got to be ready when the dam breaks, because it's going to. We just don't know exactly when it's going to happen. But if you look back at every major crisis we've ever had, the data shows there's a boom when it releases. It does. It's going to be there, and just get prepared, and let's enjoy the ride when this is over, because it's gonna happen. We just don't know when.
Yeah.
Hopefully sooner than later.
We'll get through this.
Yeah. One of my biggest regrets from 2008 was sticking my head in the sand, and being reactionary. And I spent the last handful of years, just getting prepared for something like this. I never thought that I would see an opportunity like 2008 in my life. I figured that was a once in a generation thing, but this could be that. I mean, we don't know for sure. It could be. My bet is the only way that real estate pulls out of this is that they get some of the crazy loans back in place that they had in '03 and '04 and '05. And that still opens the door to opportunity. But so either way, it's going to be an opportunity to clean house on a falling market and dust off our short sale books and go to work on that kind of stuff, or they're going to do something crazy with the lending or the opportunities out there to buy homes, and that's going to open the door to some opportunities. So I'm just ready for either way it goes.
Yeah, so some of my biggest takeaways have been taking advantage of all the relief you can, whether you need it or not. Now, take advantage of it while you can, because you might need it later. And if you don't, at least you'll be in better position to take advantage of what are opportunities. Or in the case of, if you're just self-employed, maybe help out someone that took it a little bit worse than you did. Mm-hmm. And also digging deep on self-improvement. I see a lot of people taking vacations right now too. I feel like I'm busier than I was before all this happened. But I did see an article right before I popped in and said 3 out of 5 Americans are working on self-improvement. So that gives me hope about the country. But yeah, just getting lean, getting just all the way down into your business, nuts and bolts, build it back up from just the complete bottom to top if you need to, and look for opportunities. So
And let me add this, Chris. I mean, the fix and flip business was fairly brisk in March. I don't expect it to continue that way in April, but there was a lot of investors buying houses. We did a lot of loans in March. Now, what's April going to do? I don't know. For folks with rental properties, you're a little bit limited if you're using the non-QM Wall Street products, because those are kind of shut down. But the fix and flip business, people are still buying. It was pretty brisk here in March.
And one more small comment is that idle loan, EIDL, the disaster loan, that's been around for years. They've raised the limit to $200,000 without a personal guarantee.
Mm-hmm.
So it's normally $25,000. So pretty much anybody can go, and if you have okay credit, and you don't have to show any kind of abilities to pay back as much as you do normally, but you can get $200,000 without a personal guarantee, 30-year AM, 3 3/4 interest rate.
Yeah, up to like $2 million too, depending on your operations
in total.
and what's going on. But I've seen some pretty sophisticated investors that run bigger operations that's I mean, they're going to be going after that. That's cheap money, and would definitely fund some operations to take advantage of whatever shoring up they need to do, but also opportunity once we get past this hump. All right. Yeah.
We didn't talk much about that, but everybody out there that has a business entity needs to be applying for the EIDL and the PPP.
Yeah, go to SBA.gov. It seems like those, and talk with your local lenders. It seems like the understanding of the rules change almost on an hourly basis. Even after I submitted an application, I ended up getting more documents back. Rich, you mentioned that too.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I highly recommend that there's a live video from Lab Coat Agents, which is a really big Facebook page of realtors. Lab Coat Agents, and they got this fellow named Mark Kohler, who's a real estate attorney, and it is very in-depth and very good data about those loans. Very good. So I highly recommend. You can go to our page, Renters Warehouse Houston, and find it on there and watch it. It's fantastic.
All right, I'll close with this. So I wanted to make sure we got this talk down. I know it's very popular. It's just a hot topic. Agents and investors, they're just craving just knowledge and understanding and guidance on what to do in this uncertain time. So I wanted to make sure we get this down. So I appreciate all y'all for chiming in and giving your advice. And tomorrow, if one thing we've learned, whether you learn by force because you have to, or you're starting to adapt, is online operating virtually and being able to connect with your audience or your workforce virtually that's a necessity now. You have to do it. And that's going to get more and more prevalent going forward. Online content is just skyrocketing to the point to where like the government's telling Netflix, Amazon, all those guys to, hey, like throttle down your quality of streaming because you're going to break the internet. So tomorrow, it's a local event that we have, but it's not local anymore because we can't meet local. So we're going to be broadcasting out live on Zoom and on Facebook Live. It's called Fort Bend Real Estate Investors, FBREI. We are going to be rebranding that event to Rehacking, rehacking.com. Stands for real estate hacking, so rehacking.com. And we've got a guy, he's going to be talking about how to grow your business on YouTube. This is someone who was a real estate investor turned agent as well. And within about 2 years, he built a YouTube channel out of necessity. He built a YouTube channel of like over 31,000 followers. Just imagine what your business would do if you had 31,000 followers on any social media platform, much less YouTube. Probably be a little bit different, and probably give you a little bit more leverage and maybe some more business and decrease your costs, your marketing costs too. So He's going to be talking about what he did, how he did it, and why he did it. His name's Connor Steinbrook. He's an absolute, I call him like a social media guru. I don't mean that in a negative term, but he's just very ninja about how he figured it out and kind of cracked the code with building a social media channel. So rehacking.com, that's the new brand for our event. You can find us on FBREI on our Facebook page, soon to be also renamed RE Hacking. I look forward to seeing y'all out. So,
Well, what time is that, Chris?
When we host a live event, we're usually gathering between 6 and 6:30. But the Zoom, I'll bring it up live at about 6:45 Central Time, and we'll kick it off at 7. It's going to be a similar, tomorrow, Tuesday, April 7th. And it'll be a similar format. If you've ever attended the event before, similar format, do some introductions. We'll talk about some of our vendor partners that we have. Eddie, we appreciate you for being one of those. And then we're going to get Connor in and go right into the content. And we usually have some time for some Q&A for that too. So I know we didn't really have that for this setting, but look forward to seeing some of
Connor's a ball of fire, man. I like him.
Yeah. He talks fast, so you want to make sure that you're typing.
Better be ready.
Really, I never noticed that.
Hey, we'll have our deal. We're doing every Wednesday night. The Renters Warehouse will have real-time data on rent collections, which will be interesting. 6 o'clock Wednesday, and then our big event, Jet Lending and Renters Warehouse, will be the third Wednesday night. We're going to start at 6 or 7, Eddie. 7.
I think last time we went at 6, but I don't remember. I'll leave it up to you. I don't care.
I'd rather do 6. I think 6 would be good.
I don't care. Whatever.
We had a lot of views on that thing. I think that went pretty well, and we'll just do it on Zoom this time.
I love it. Yes, I watched that. And Don, you want to give a plug about your channel?
Yeah, just Flip Talk. We talk a lot about flipping, wholesaling, buy and hold. We don't just cover flipping as in general. We're across the U.S. In fact, I'm in like dozens and dozens of different countries at this point. I've been doing it for 3 years, so you can find me anywhere. Facebook, at the Real Don Costa on Instagram, and if anybody wants to reach out to me at donfliptalk.com, I'll try to answer any question I can, add as much value as I can. So.
All right, Pat. So if anyone wants to test out this virtual world with EXP, to test it out for either their personal business or their organization, what's the best way to do that?
Absolutely, yeah. You guys can reach out to me on Facebook. Send me a private message, Pat Hayes, at Facebook. I'll send you a guest pass if you're a realtor, or just an investor as well. Check out our take a little tour of our EXP world, and if you're a realtor and you want to go to some of our live training classes this week, we've got 60 hours of free live training classes this week. Hit me up if you're interested, and love to take you on a free tour.
60-day free tour.
That's right.
All right. Thank you all. Appreciate it. Y'all stay safe.
You bet, guys. Thanks,
guys. Thanks, Chris.